Here we go. Anne-Marie, if you'd be so kind as to take us in.
Absolutely. All right. So welcome to Stop Relying on Trade Shows to Win New Business. So we're going to go over how manufacturers are creating consistent visibility and growth at every single day. This is going to be presented by Joe Japp, our president, today. So what we like to do first is take just a few moments just to tell you a little bit about who we are. So EmoryDay, who are we? We like to think of ourselves as the best of professionals, technology, and AI. We have been growing businesses for over 20 years, and we were doing it remotely before it was popular. So we're really good at this. We are what's called a full service or a full stack marketing company. We do it all from websites to account-based marketing. We do all paid advertising platforms. We're about 50 US team members strong across 31 different states. And we even have our own lead generation platform that all of our clients get to use. We've served thousands of clients with one mission, and that is to grow your business. We do it cost effectively using comprehensive marketing to generate traffic, which converts to customers. And we're always going to do that with the eye on ROI. So we have, let me get Frank in here.
Yeah.
So whether you're looking to increase your revenue or you're preparing to sell your business, EmoryDay is your go-to team. So when you work with EmoryDay, you get a dedicated account team. These are the people that you meet with week in and week out. We have a strategic lead, your account manager, who's your main point of contact, who is your liaison between your designer developer, your ad specialist. We even have content writers and tech specialists ready to help us at every turn. And most important is our AI-powered dashboard. This helps you build scalable marketing, and it provides visibility and helps you close more business. Most of you probably already know this, but companies that use a CRM, they see an average sales increase of 29%. It's huge. Knowing your numbers is half the battle. So that's a little bit about EmoryDay, but I'm going to let Joe take us into why you need to stop relying on trade shows to win new business, especially in manufacturing.
I love it. So I'm honored and humbled that you guys wanted to take time out of your day to spend it with us and talk about this very important topic. Usually on a call like this, we've got a lot of really talented people from a mix of different backgrounds and specialties. Some are marketers, some are business owners. The one thing that I want you to do in today's presentation is we're going to cover some of the basics, and a lot of this is going to make tremendous sense for you. I want you to find the one or two things that you can do and put into your game in the next few days that will make a difference. Again, if you let all of this wash over you, a lot of it's going to make sense, but can you find the one, two, maybe the third thing that you say to yourself, you know, I hadn't thought about that, I'm going to do that, or I haven't done that in a little while, let me get back to that, or hey, let me try that because that makes a lot of sense. So one of the reasons why we're having this topic is because manufacturing has always been heavily focused on trade shows. Now, we're not against trade shows, and I want to say that very clearly. There are a lot of reasons why trade shows still fill a need, but the reality is you can't rely on them. And so we want to talk about all those strategies today that take you beyond that. Now, the problem with the trade show mindset is many manufacturers either gear up for one huge show or juggle several expensive, time-sucking events a year. Afterward, the pipeline goes quiet and the momentum fades. I think we've all been there. You go to the trade show, you come home with 100 business cards and you're thinking that was a winner. And then you go right into doing what your job requires you, and you get sucked away. And those 100 cards just kind of, they just don't happen. This wait and hope approach really makes that growth unpredictable. And again, trade shows can create spikes in attention, but how do we really convert that to real business? And why you shouldn't do it alone, right? Everybody is busy. One of the things that I've found in the 20 years I've been doing this is you have a day job, right? You can't do it all. And sometimes it's okay to hire someone to clean your house. It's okay to hire someone to cut your lawn. Time is our number one enemy. And why growth stalls and how the rug gets pulled out is because time just simply slips by. Opportunity slips by, which is why whether it's EmoryDay or somebody else, an accountability partner really helps ensure that weekly execution. We're going to talk about weekly a fair amount during our conversation because it's about habits. It's about creating the right habit inside of marketing. When you can outsource, you can do it for the less of a cost of a full-time hire. And we're not even really talking about contract labor in that sense. Literally at EmoryDay and other companies, we're time slicing. So, you're getting really talented people at all different levels for just little thin slices of their time. And that's how we can put that full stack together. And again, EmoryDay is not the only company that's out there who does this. If you're not able to get your marketing done within the time allotted because of all the other priorities, boy, that's a wonderful opportunity to get some outside help. And they're accountable to you. And we all know that sometimes as our own accountability partners, we kind of maybe let ourselves down because life is fast-paced that way. So manufacturers save an average of $30,000 using outsourced lead generation versus in-house teams. Now, there's also another thought about that that's important. Your in-house team has mad love for your company, but they're also insulated in your little world. An outside team can bring the latest and greatest because they're on the cutting edge of building campaigns for other folks. And that means they're learning and you're benefiting from that learning. But it's not all going to be about pitching as to why marketing agencies are great and all that stuff. Let's get into the good stuff. So a better future really means weekly growth and action. We're a big fan of weekly because growth can become systematic, not sporadic. You don't wake up and say, gosh, I haven't done anything for 3 months and, looking in the rearview mirror, and then you're panicked. If you approach it from a weekly standpoint, that's 52 deliberate opportunities per year to launch a new initiative that puts your brand in front of prospects, to refine and optimize those existing campaigns and boost ROI every week. If we have time, I'll tell you a story about a client we were on with just yesterday, and we found a way to literally get them to $2.6 million in gross margin by just simply increasing their ad spend. Hopefully we'll have a chance to kind of share some of those thoughts. You get to publish fresh content that builds authority and keeps you visible. You get to expand your outreach to new prospects and nurture existing relationships. And you get to strengthen lead follow-up to convert more opportunities into sales. You get to prepare strategically. The hits just keep coming. And hopefully you get to close more deals by constantly staying top of mind. It's an interesting time of the year because we're rolling up on the end of the year. And this is where people go, I don't know, Joe, it's getting a little slow. Maybe we'll address this after the holidays. After the holidays means February 15th, because we all know how that happens. If you're not putting those initiatives in place now, and the holidays is a great time, things slow down a little bit. You want to put those initiatives in place. So January 1, it's like a gun going off. Now, Rome wasn't built in a day, but it was built week by week. We're going to switch a little bit and talk to account-based marketing. It's 2025. So there's a phrase that I like to say, which is, this is the day that mankind has been dreaming of for thousands of years. That saying is attributed to Alexander Graham Bell at the turn of the 19th century. He was talking about the telephone. Now, today, most of us on this call were fortunate enough to be born into two of the greatest technology advancements that I think mankind will ever see until we reach faster than light technology or travel or potentially cure cancer. The birth of the internet and the birth of AI. Now, the reason why I bring those into saying is account-based marketing makes so much of this possible. It has truly democratized so many of these marketing initiatives. And if you're in manufacturing and you're not paying attention to account-based marketing and you're not using AI to help you find those amazing targets, you're missing an opportunity. Account-based marketing starts with defining your ideal customer profile who delivers the most strategic value. And then we build personas around decision makers and influencers. Now, every industry is a little different, But most industries have someone who starts the conversation and then a decision maker who has to come in. Smaller the company, those become one person. Larger the company, those can sometimes be a committee of people. But you use ABM to identify specific companies and then target the right individuals within them. We regularly get asked by our clients to go help penetrate a particular company or a particular series of companies. And what we do is we use a fair amount of AI data enrichment to turn fragmented data into complete data sets and create those wonderful look-alike audiences. We also want you to tap into the amazing amount of data. Now, we keep about 60 million B2B records on our fingertips and in our data warehouses, but we also access the same tools that you have accessible to you. Apollo, ZoomInfo, Data Axle, ThomasNet, LinkedIn Sales Navigator. And when you use this approach, you can deliver up to 76% greater results. Now, my mother-in-law is in a relationship with ChatGPT. Now, I say that a little bit, just kind of have some fun with that, right? She's 70 plus, but she uses ChatGPT, and I wouldn't necessarily call her the most technical person. The reason why I say that is if you're not using ChatGPT, you should be, because everybody else is. And it has changed the concept of search. And search is all about the active prospects. The active prospects are the ones who are looking for you now. And there's been a sincere transition between keywords, right? SEO was all about keyword search. We would want to, Joe, we want to rank on the first page for this keyword. Great. That was the last 20 years. But the next 20 are going to be when someone asks this question, we want to show up, right? When someone asks this question, we want to show up. So traditional search, SEO, pay-per-click, keyword-driven. The new search, the large language models, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, it's all question-driven. So who is the best manufacturer for X? But like in a good reporter interview, there's a follow-up question. Well, if these are the best manufacturers for this process, which are the ones that use titanium? So the questions start to stack. Now, to win, it's all about how you structure the site content. And this is the thing, it's answer engine optimization, which is a question followed by an answer, but it's in natural conversational language. But even though it's natural and conversational, you can still cover the technical, the pricing, the capability, the questions. And the companies that get this right win, and the companies who ignore this lose. They just do. 55% of US consumers are now using generative AI tools like ChatGPT or Gemini instead of traditional search engines for certain tasks. I know my mother-in-law doesn't use search anymore. Right?
So me and Joe talk to our ChatGPT all the time.
Yep, constantly. And people say, well, does that mean AI is going to take this segment of society and make it go away? You know, everything's going to get a little bit faster. But what we have found is that everyone is going faster. It's not that we're not doing the same things. It's that we're able to tap that magic 8-ball and bring all that knowledge to bear. And if you're not using it, you're left behind. But as a marketer, as a business owner, if you are not implementing frequently asked questions, if you are not restructuring your site content into questions and answers, you are missing the opportunity. And from a technical standpoint, you can work with a company like EmoryDay that will provide the schema markup and the JSON markup that allows the engines to quickly identify the question from the answer. But even on a product page, you have a product for XYZ, you have a product description, you have some details, you have some specs. You now need an FAQ. And that FAQ is actually the most powerful part of that page. We'll do a little question and answer at the end of this. So feel free to kind of, hold those. And the best part of these webinars is actually what happens after the presentation's over. So now let's talk about how we reach out. So if before we were talking about the people who are looking for you, let's talk about your amazing target audience who don't even know you exist. The number one challenge with most companies that they're not actually talking to the very people who can buy their stuff, their prospects and customers. And those are the passive prospects, because at any given time, out of 100 people, only 2, 3, 4, or 5 of them are ever really in market. So you have to talk to the rest of these people throughout the course of the year and wait for their window of opportunity to open. They talk about success means preparation meets opportunity, right? So stay on top of mind until their window of opportunity opens. And you do that. How do you do that? Email. So I always ask my wife, I said, Lori, why do you get so many emails? And she goes, I never know when I'm going to need a discount. And what that really means is she's keeping in her inbox and not unsubscribing from the stuff that's relevant to her. So if an engineer is interested in engineering processes and custom plastic extrusions, you send them an email about custom plastic extrusions and what's going on in the industry, that engineer is going to keep you in his inbox or her inbox. Boosting to social media. We all know that social media is here to stay. And the reality is, if you spend an hour working on a social media post and you post it, it's only going to be seen by 15, 20, 25, 30% of your followers. That's it. That is not much bang for the buck that you spent to put that post together. You spent an hour. It's a beautiful post. Get out some coffee money, $10, $15, $20 a day, and boost it. Listen, if it was worth your time and energy to write that post, it is worth $5, $10 a day to boost it. So boost it, because it opens up thousands of impressions. It is absolutely the hidden gem. Not nearly enough people do it. And obviously our goal is to continue to nurture these folks until their timing exists. And if you leverage more than 3 channels, you increase your purchase rate by 250%. Now let's talk about content creation and why content is king and why boosting matters. Now we talked a little bit about boosting, but I want to talk about content. There is no excuse in the age of AI to not have a 6 to 12 month content calendar worked out. There is no excuse for us to show up at the beginning of July and go, oh my gosh, what am I going to do for July 4th? Content is so much easier. The internet has become democratized. But if you can't find the time to put that content calendar together, get an accountability partner like EmoryDay, because we live and die for this stuff. But when we think about content creation, if we have the means to push to our passive prospects, if we have the means to stay in front of and top of mind the very people that can buy our services, we have to make it good. We have to make it interesting. So we want to use that combination of the written, the images, the videos. We want to use case studies. People love results. And nothing is better for telling results today than videos. We'll talk a little bit more about videos, but we're very passionate about videos because people don't read anymore, right? We used to talk about chunkifying the website to get to this trend. We're going to chunkify it so they can just read the chunks. Well, they're reading even less chunks these days. They just want a video talking to them that says what to do. But if you take the time to build that beautiful piece of content, publish everywhere. Don't be shy. Send it on email, put it on the website, throw it up on your socials, put it in your video channels, because you need to. And there can never really be enough content. The frequency with which content comes around. Here's an interesting statistic for you. You can take this to your next party. The average teenager today experiences more data in the course of one day than a 19th century farmer experienced in 3 years. So while you don't want to stress about it, content is something that is meant to be consumed, and it's meant to be frequent. If you do this, it can deliver as many as 3 times more lead at 62% lower costs. Now let's go back to that beloved trade show. So we hooked you on this concept of stop relying on trade shows. But let's talk about trade shows, right? If you're at a trade show, you should be doing geo-fenced ads. Now, many people probably still don't know that we can take an ad campaign and draw an outline around the building. Like, it's crazy, but it's true. So when you're at a trade show, and let's say you're at the MGM Grand and the trade show's at the MGM Grand, you want to build a geo-fence around the MGM Grand, right? You also want to do it around other hotels, you know, where you think there's going to be traffic. But why not? I'll tell you a perfect example. Very similar to this. We have a client. They're like, Joe, we want to sign every major hospital as a client. Great. Let's go put a geofence around every major hospital as a client and then promote you to them 365 days a year, because it ain't expensive. I'm not going to say it's coffee money. It's a little bit more than coffee money, but in the scheme of things, for the impact, are you kidding me? So when you go to a trade show, don't just show up, surround it. Geofence lets you target all of those environments, hotels, restaurants, the convention center. It pushes your trade show themed ads, right? So the trade show ad is different than the hospital ad. Hospital ad is about, here's our product, here's our value, here's our benefit. The trade show ad mixes it up. It's a little bit like, we're at booth 642. We've got this special promo, whatever that looks like, because that's going to show up on their phones, tablets, streaming apps, and even rideshare screens. How crazy is that? This allows you to stay visible before, during, and after the event, while your competitors are relying on booth traffic alone. Extend your show investment and turn it on 1 week of exposure. Turn 1 week of exposure into months of engagement. Power of video. This time next year, 80% of all internet traffic will be video. Stop it. Yes, that means all the ones and zeros going across these interwebs, right, will actually be the bits and bytes that transmit video, and in particular, short form video. Now, here's the beauty and the power of video. It's 2025 going into 2026. Back in the day, let's just say 5-10 years ago, and if I said, hey, let's create a video, you'd be like, all right, so we got to hire a crew. They're going to bring their lighting. You know, we're going to have them. No, that was then. Today, I'm not going to say this is all you need, but this is the best starting point. Because video has become very real, people actually really react to real. We have an amazing client by the name of eLogix, and we challenged them. We said, listen, let people into your world. Let them experience your business. Let them see your crew. Because if a prospect is choosing between two fulfillment companies and they get a chance to really experience the personality and fun and the people behind eLogix, then they're going to choose eLogix 100% of the time. So the hardest part is the start. Once you get started, it's easy. In fact, eLogix got started and they had to tell the guys, hey, listen, the videos are fun, but we got to get some work done. But they had a blast. It was a big personnel boost. Everybody was loving it. So how do we put it into post-production? Well, here's the beauty. It's 2026. Lots of great technology. Today, you can have Morgan Freeman read your obituary. He's going to read mine. And you'd never know it's AI and not Morgan Freeman. Most of the videos that we put together use AI voiceovers. Why? Because they're just simply better, right? They're better. They're perfect even. So then you use a little bit of B-roll. Maybe you put a founder's image in it, maybe not. And it's amazing how quick that can pull together. Also, there's companies putting together really strong AI videos from start to finish. And everything is $19 a month now. So why wouldn't you? The hard part is in the targeting, and that makes all the difference in the world. But creating the video, boy, that's gotten easier. good video is still good video. So you have to always start with a script, and we can talk about that a little bit later. The script has to work, and here's the beauty. Don't accept the script at face value. Sometimes people just like, that's really nice. I didn't think my company could look so good and sound so good in a script. You have to ask yourself, is it literally going to stop someone on the side of the road? Because billboards have to. We should demand the same of our video. If that video doesn't stop you, educate you, call you to action, it needs to be remade. So we've got a couple different videos here. One of the things that we really like about videos is it invites you in to see a particular machine, a particular service, a particular concept. And it works whether it's in industrial or whether it's in dairy automation. So I'll go ahead and see if I can throw that up on the screen, make this a little bigger. You won't hear the sound. I apologize for that. It's just technically not possible. But we want to talk a little bit about what makes a good video. Look at the top. Take control of your rebar fabrication. We are not talking about pizzas here, my friend. We're talking about rebar, right? That's important. You know what neighborhood you're in. Now, one of the reasons why this works so well is there's a hook in here that says it very clearly. If you spend more than $500 a week on rebar, you need this, right? And people who buy rebar and your target audience, everybody's hook's a little different. In your target audience, there is a moment at which they are better off with your product or service than they are without it. We have to clearly articulate that. We have to pull that open and we have to put it right in front of them. Because if you're spending more than $500 a week on rebar, you're paying for somebody else's machine. So you should enjoy the convenience of owning your own machine. Now, when we started working with Pico Dairy Automation, they said, Joe, I don't know. You may not be able to find dairymen. I said, dairymen? I said, don't we call them dairymen and women these days? And they all laughed and it was a big chuckle. No, they all prefer to be called dairymen. It's not a thing. Let's not make it a thing. But the reality is, of course, we're going to be able to find dairymen, you and women. You don't think dairy owners went to high school? You don't think that they don't have reunions? Of course we can find dairy owners and operators and dairy farmers. They have kids, they have reunions, they're checking in. One of the platforms that we use a lot of in this space is Meta, because Meta gets you Instagram and Facebook. And at this point, people are like, Joe, I'm kind of more of a LinkedIn business. You're like, okay, I got you. So you're kind of stuck up that way? No, I'm just kidding. But the reality is LinkedIn is 5 times more expensive to advertise. And I'll just be candid with you. We've had a hard time getting the same results. On Meta, ooh, money goes farther, leads come flowing in. We're crushing it. And then lastly, when you can beyond tell that story, you can actually show it happening. You know, they say a picture's worth 1,000 words. What does that make a video, right? So if this is your jam, if you like plasma cutting, if you have up to 800-pound beams and you need to put a bevel in it, these folks are singing your song. And that's the beauty of video. You get a chance to cover a lot of ground really quickly, right? A lot of ground really quickly. And then from there, you get their interest. Now the question is, what do we do once we have them interested? We want to take them through a narrow hallway, You ever drop a kid off at Toys R Us and say, hey, meet me back here in 5 minutes? Kids in the candy store, all those toys, they got stuff to do. Well, that's what it's like if you drop them onto your website. Man, there's so many hallways on your website to run down services, products, about, industry, case studies, all of that. You don't want to let them loose in a big Toys R Us and let them get lost. You want to lead them down a very specific hallway. You want to ask them questions that get them excited. You want to give them a chance to go, wow, this company knows me. They're talking my language. I'm geeking out on the questions, and I can't wait to see what's behind door number 1. What kind of person are you? I'm a contractor. What kind of rebar are you interested in? A vendor. Great. Let us show you how simple this can be. And it works for everybody. That narrow hallway means your leads increase by as much as 300%. Interactive surveys, the way we do them at EmoryDay, increase your lead volume by 300%. Same money, same traffic, 3 times the leads. Happy to answer any of these questions as we get near the end. Now, everybody knows the concept called funnels. Why? Because it works. The concept of a funnel is that you start at the top and you work your way out the bottom. It's that simple. Now, we ask ourselves inside of that journey, what does that look like? Everybody's got a different theory. Nobody's wrong. The only theory that is right is the one that works and yields the greatest results. The funnel that we like and is crushing it for our clients, we call it the Leads Accelerator program. We always start with an ad or a video. These days, we're leaning a lot more towards video for all the right reasons, because it generates interest and engages the prospect. In a video, you can take 300 words and say them to moving pictures and get a concept out that you'd never be able to do in an image. Videos are amazing. Then we take them into the interactive survey, a narrow hallway that they can't leave. And we ask them qualifying questions because it builds our authority and builds trust. Then we do the ultimate. Not only do we capture their information in the interactive survey, we book them right onto your calendar. Now, this stuff isn't hard, right? I've just told you the formula, but the power is the fact that our clients show up to 2, 3, 4 meetings booked on their calendar every day. Now, if you have a heartbeat, somebody has sent you an email promising you, we book appointments, right? That's if you have a heartbeat, you've gotten that pitch. Absolutely. Everybody's got their strategy. This happens to be ours, and we use it because it works. 300% higher conversions from qualified surveys. You turn clicks into conversations. I literally have people show up on our calendar and they're like, yeah, Joe, this morning I was, checking out Instagram and now I'm talking to you. And I'm like, that's a thing of beauty. Win. Because let's kind of, have a little truthful conversation. If you don't book them on the calendar, it's just a lead. What a lead is, a lead has to be followed up. How many of you answer your phone legitimately? How many of you reply to sales emails legitimately? But you do show up to webinars that you signed up for. And that means you show up to meetings that you sign up for. So booking that is important. Whether you use EmoryDay, whether you use our exact formula or not, I challenge you to end every lead generation with a Calendly booking link, because good things happen. They just do. Now, when we put this whole growth engine together, and that's the beauty, working, whether you do this yourself, because let's face it, the number 1 question and answer and search engines, YouTube, you can learn this stuff. The second and fastest growing, probably even more, ChatGPT, this is out there, right? So that's the wonderful thing about the democratic nature of today's technology. Everybody has access to it. The reason why we do so well is because we crush it for our clients. But you don't have to engage a company like EmoryDay. EmoryDay just makes it faster, better, more reliable, accountability partner, all that good stuff. But start with the video. Please, if you do nothing else, start with a video. Number 2, drive them to a narrow hallway. Number 3, end with scheduling in mind. Layer in that account-based marketing, because when you target, there's actually 3 great ways to target in Meta. Number 1, industry and title. Number 2, interest. Number 3, custom and lookalike audiences. Let's break that down a little bit. We're targeting engineers for a machining company, and the machining company works in titanium. So we asked the company, hey, listen, who do you like to work with? Well, you know, we work in aluminum and titanium, so anyone in the aerospace industry. Roger, Dodger. So engineer, aerospace engineer and aerospace industry is our first layer of targeting. Second, those who are interested in machining, titanium, aluminum, aerospace, engineering. Thirdly, we go do this account-based marketing exercise, and we get together 4,000 or 5,000 really hot engineers, and we load them into that third level. And then we say, hey, Meta, go get it done. Here's a little money. Let's make this thing happen together. If you've done the right video, if you've done the right interactive and scheduling, you're ready like Johnny Bench. But it takes the right team and the right understanding in the targeting within Meta so that your money becomes efficient. And you'd be surprised how many people are running campaigns out there and they're not properly tracking conversions. Whole nother topic for another day. Next, build that content calendar. Please, please, please post and email regularly. The frequency doesn't matter, the regularly does. Implement answer engine optimization. It is like the Oklahoma land grab. The Oklahoma land grabs, when they opened up that big section in Oklahoma and they said, if you can stake it off, it's yours. That's where answer engine optimization is today. The winners who are on it will win. And then ultimately, anytime you can get into a weekly accountability and execution, this means that 52 times a year, you're going to be able to hold someone, maybe yourself, maybe someone that you pay for, accountable. 52 times a year, you can build Rome. And if you get into this roadmap for year-round growth, you build that weekly rhythm, you diversify your outreach, less dependence on trade shows, because trade shows happen sporadically throughout the year, but this program works every week like clockwork. You're constantly showcasing your capabilities online. People don't like to read, they like to video. That also means that they have short attention spans. So you've got to stay in front of them. And then lastly, of course, we would love and we'd be honored if you partnered with us, because we're really good at what we do and we really get excited about this stuff. But you don't need EmoryDay to do this if you just will get after it on a consistent basis. If you do want EmoryDay, we would love to, book a one-on-one, talk about you specifically. We've dropped a link into the chat. You can go ahead and hit that. But in reality, what we'd like to do is really kind of have a little bit more of a conversation with you. We love it when people raise their hands. We feel like everybody who asks a question, everybody else seems to benefit. And we've covered a lot of topics today. So thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we'll probably maybe end the video for this particular webinar so that when people receive this, this will be the last. So this is Joe Japp saying thank you for attending.